Alright, moving on to one of the more important topics, congruent and similar triangle abbreviations and reasoning. So I just want to cover some of the basics, and I guess it all begins with knowing what methods get used to prove that two triangles are congruent. To prove that two triangles are congruent, minimally you'd need all three sides, an angle with a side in between and another angle, a side with an angle in between and another side, two angles and one of the other sides not in between, or a right triangle with the hypotenuse is the same in both and the legs the same in both. Those are the only five minimal reasons to prove that two triangles are congruent. To prove that two triangles are similar, all you would need are two angles matching up in both triangles. So those are some of the basics of knowing the difference between how to prove triangles congruent and how to prove they are similar. In the picture, they're giving me some facts that AC bisects angle bad. Angle bad is in red. And if the blue bisects the red angle, I'm getting these two black angles here to be identical to each other. They're also telling me that angle B and angle D are the same. So I'm going to mark those with little arcs to show that those are matching. Now take a step back and take a look at the pieces that I have. So for this particular question, I've got two angles matching up with two other angles, and one side matching up with itself. So the pattern that I see here, and if you just look at only one of the triangles, it might be easier to actually pick off the pattern. The pattern that I'm seeing is angle, angle, side. The side is not in between the two angles, so that would be an example of angle, angle, side as the method that you would use to prove that the two triangles are congruent. Alright, here's another one with two triangles stuck together, and right away I can jump right on this. If I have to prove that these two triangles are congruent, these two sides are the same because they're being shared by both triangles. That would be an example of the reflexive property. They're telling me that the two sides AB and CD are parallel to each other. That's what the symbol that looks like a thin 11 represents, parallel. And just from our last topic on parallel lines cut by a transversal, you know that they form alternate interior angles that have to be the same. So those two angles are matching. And we also have one more fact that they're telling us, that angle ABC is the same as angle CDA. Alright, just my luck, I picked another question as the same answer as the last one. This is an example of angle, angle, side. If I take a look at only one of the triangles, the pattern that I'm seeing there on that one triangle is an angle, and a side, and the side is not in between the two angles. So this would be an example of an angle, angle, side that would prove that the two triangles are congruent. Alright, here's one last one. Just doing a quick walkthrough on these abbreviations for you. This one says we've got two triangles, and ACB, if I trace it over with my pen, ACB is congruent to angle AED. And if you remember, to prove that two triangles are similar, all we need to do is find that two angles in one triangle that match up with two angles in another triangle, or it's also nicknamed angle-angle. So far we've got these two angles matching up. Now there's one more angle that is exactly the same in both triangles for a guaranteed fact. That's angle A. Angle A is in the little triangle. It's also an angle inside the big triangle. So I've got two triangles that have two angles that match up. Angle A is in both, and these angles here are also matching. So if it said to actually prove it, the proof would look something like this. You'd have a list of your statements and your reasons. You would say that angle A is congruent to angle A because of the reflexive property. The other angles are the same because it's given. And that's it. Then you'd conclude by saying that the two triangles are similar to each other. ABC is similar, and that's the symbol for similar. It looks like a worm. Triangle ADE. And the reason would be angle-angle. One of the shortest proofs you'll ever see. Keep on working really hard, you're almost there.